see, Ms. Crawford and Mr. Holtz. Ms. Crawford. All right, if y'all can both raise your right hands for me. Yeah, I swear firm testimony about to give us the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
I do.
All right. Same thing. If you get anybody have any witnesses, Ms. Crawford?
No, I do not.
All right, Mr. Holtz?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
All right, Ms. Crawford, start from the most recent event. Work backwards and tell me exactly what Mr. Crawford has done to you specifically, and give me dates, or at least, you know, as close to the date as you can, please.
Okay. So on February 22nd of this year, I dropped our son Elijah off to Mr. Holtz at our daughter's school. And he checked our daughter out around 2:15, got our son for me, and they left for visitation. Our court order visitation is supposed to be Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, 4 to 6 Monday and Thursday, and on Saturday from 9 to 2. However, due to Mr. Holtz's work schedule, we've agreed to I agreed to work with him, and so he picks up on Wednesdays. And so he typically goes and gets the children early from school to spend time with them. And so they left, went for visitation. I didn't know where they were going, but he met me back at Publix on Marietta Boulevard around 5:45. I came out of Publix, got the kids from him. He didn't say anything. He just drove straight off. At this particular time, we were riding MARTA, and that's why we were meeting, excuse me, that's why we were meeting at the Publix instead of our other agreed pickup spot. And so after he drove off, I took our children into Publix to use the restroom. Once out of the restroom, I touched my daughter's arm so that I can ask her for help with the groceries that I had. And immediately she pulls away. And I said, "What's wrong? What's wrong with you?" And she says, "My arm hurts." And so I asked her, I said, "Well, what happened?" And she told me she was at grandma's house with dad and with Mr. Holtz. And she said that she had pictures of her artwork in her phone, and she was showing them to her dad. And I guess, I don't know if he wanted a copy, whatever that situation was, but she said she was so tired, she accidentally deleted the pictures, at which point Mr. Holtz got mad and twisted her arm. And so she was saying that her arm was in pain. So at this particular point, we leave Publix, walk home. Once at home, I called my mother because I don't have a vehicle. Uber to the hospital was about $50 one way, could not afford that. And so my mom told me as soon as she gets off work, she'll give me her car. I got her car, dropped her off at home, went straight to the hospital. We arrived at the ER. It was late. It was about 11 o'clock at night. And it was a full house. And so they did registration and everything up front in the very beginning, and triage. And so we were sent to the waiting area. We waited there. I didn't see the doctor until about 2 a.m. the next morning. And so the only person that actually got to see our daughter while she was awake were like the nurses and the techs on the immediate, the initial point of the visit to the ER. After that, she was fast asleep. And so I do have notes from the doctor. Since the ER visit, she still complained about pain in her arm, as well as saying that the pain is getting more intense. And so I contacted the pediatrician in March, and they referred her over to ortho, we went to orthopedics appointment March the 7th, and they gave us the option of getting a cast on for 2 weeks or a splint. And so she felt like the splint would be better. She didn't want an itchy arm from a cast. So we chose to go with the splint for her arm instead. They have not confirmed fractures, although it was a suspicion in one of the notes from the doctors that she has a fracture somewhere that they just couldn't see on x-ray. And so from what I've read online, it takes a few weeks for a hairline fracture to show, and sometimes they can't see it on x-ray. So my next step is to just request an MRI because they can see them clearer on those, because she's still complaining about pain.
All right, I need you folks to stand by for 1 second while I go take care of my ex parte. Just give me 1 second. Right back. All right, thanks for being patient. Go ahead, Ms. Crawford. So, Ms. Crawford, tell me, explain to me why you think necessarily that Mr. Holtz and what exactly Mr. Holtz did to your daughter.
Okay, so basically what I think that he did was exactly what she told me, is that he took her by the arm in the front, like at her wrist. I don't know if it's a martial arts maneuver, but twisted her arm around like so and just held it in place, putting pressure on her forearm and her elbow. Also at the wrist. And so she's been excuse me, experiencing pain in her forearm from her wrist to the elbow.
And how old is she?
She's 8.
And she told you that that he did this to her.
Correct. And at the time, she said they were at grandma's house. And so I did ask, I said, well, what did grandma do? She said nothing, but she sure did say something to me when I called him bruh. And I said, well, that's disrespectful. So, but aside from that, she did say that she felt unsafe and did not want to go back.
All right, so do you have copies of anything where you took her to the doctor? I mean.
Yes, I have that. I'm going to send it to you directly. I don't want to send it to everyone. I'll send it to you directly and your court staff. And do I need to send it to Mr. Holtz as well?
You send it in the, well, yeah, it's his daughter. Do you want to, okay.
Okay, I'll send it directly. It might take me a moment. I have it set up.
Doing that, I'll hear from Mr. Holtz, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Holtz.
Good morning, Your Honor. Again, my apologies. This is my first time doing a court proceeding on Zoom. The 22nd of February was the last time I've seen my children. I apologize to my parents. I haven't had any sleep in the last few weeks dealing with this. From what I can recall, from the last time I saw my children, we had a very beautiful visit like we normally do. I see them very few hours every week. And that's what I was trying to explain to Ms. Crawford a few days prior to this. Now, I picked my children up, like she said, around 2:15, and we got to my mom's house. And like I said, it was a beautiful visit. They went down to the playground with their cousin and my son, Elijah. He's 4. He did the monkey bars by himself, pulled up and went all the way across by himself as soon as we got there. And they just had a really good 10, 15, 20 minutes outside. Came in, we started watching a show. We watched older cartoons on Boomerang. And we were just sitting, having a pleasant day. And right before we went in, I did ask my daughter if she had that picture. She showed me a picture Saturday prior of her standing in front of maybe 15 to 20 canvases of her artwork. And I wanted her to go show her grandmother. She came back outside and was like, Dad, I deleted it. And I was like, okay, baby. And we went back inside. My mom was like, well, what was it? And I just explained what it was. And I told her it was a beautiful picture. And she told me that she was running out of storage. She deleted it. So we started watching a show. My son is sitting up under me. I have my chin on his head. My daughter's right next to me. We're watching a show. And during the show, my daughter was like, Dad, this is the game I was playing in the car that you asked me about, the music game. And it was just a little game she was hopping around. Then she showed me a picture of a guy doing his daughter's hair. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. I say, Chipmunk, I haven't done your hair since you were a baby. And I like lunged at her hair. She just gave me a look. I didn't even make contact with her. She just gave me a look because her mom and I tell her not to let people play in her hair. And I was like, okay, I haven't touched your hair since you were a baby. That's fine. And we continue with our visit.
She might have looked at your hair, Mr. Holtz, and said,
correct. Absolutely. And she has that kind of sense of humor, Your Honor. And we finished watching the show. They had their popsicles. And the last 15, 20 minutes of the visit, she was like, Dad, did you still want me to show you how to do Duolingo? I said, yeah, baby, because she was telling me her and her mom were working on it. And she downloaded the app for me, helped me set up my profile, and helped me through the first course. And that was, our last 15, 20 minutes of the visit. I dropped them off to her mom, like she said, and we embraced each other. My son first, then my daughter embraced me. This is the first I'm hearing any of what Ms. Crawford is alleging, other than the paperwork that was served to me. However, I would like the courts to understand that 3 or 4 days before our visit on that Wednesday, Ms. Crawford was sending me a lot of different text messages because she wanted our children to attend a funeral with her aunt's funeral. And I mean, I have 10, 12 messages about this funeral. And I'm like, I'm against them going to a funeral for a few different reasons. The main reason being my time. It was on my scheduled day on a Saturday. And I explained to Ms. Crawford in a text message, I said, it's 168 hours in a week. And I see our children for barely 10, less than 10 hours in a week. I'm not trying to be hard about, the loss in your family. And all that was in my text messages. I'm sorry for your loss and all that. And I even told her, I say, I'll let you know either Wednesday, which was the 22nd, or that Thursday, if the children could go with her that Saturday to the funeral, because I was trying to make some child support because it was a short month. I was trying to send her some child support for the children. So when I tell you, Ms. Crawford knows how the system works. She just sent everybody an email. I don't even know how to turn my camera off, Your Honor. So when I tell you this is not her first time submitting documents that are false to the court system, she did this in Clayton County to keep me away from my children. So understand that I went through a family violence class and everything. So I would never do anything to my children to jeopardize me being able to be in their life, even those couple hours that I am in them. So I just need, everybody to understand that I'm not violent in any type of way. Everything that Ms. Crawford has ever put on me documentation wise, me being violent, is her making up stories. She's the one that has cases with the state of Georgia for violence against children, not me. So I just want the court just to understand that this is not her first time using the state to bully me, to keep me away from my children.
Ms. Crawford, have you sent those medical records yet?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Did you send them to Ms. Freed?
Yes, I did. And to Mr. Holtz.
Mr. Holtz, have you been able to look it up and see if you can look them out?
No, Your Honor. I don't doubt that Ms. Crawford went through the extreme to have this documentation. I'm not doubting that at all. I'm not doubting that at all. What I'm saying is I never put my children in any kind of harm or jeopardy. And she has on the paperwork that I called my daughter a moron and all this. Your Honor, I took my children out of state on 2 different occasions. And that was agreed upon by the 2 of us. And this past time, this was a couple of days after Christmas, I have my daughter in the studio recording things that she learned in the 2nd grade the year before, the 50 states and how magnets attract and things of that nature. And I have video of that. So, and my daughter planned that trip in December, Your Honor. So for Ms. Crawford to say that my children are afraid of me, I have pictures to show that that couldn't be further from the truth. On New Year's Eve, Ms. Crawford texts me, "Hey, I don't know what you do with the children and how they have so much fun with you, but when are you coming to get them again?" That was on New Year's Eve after I had just dropped them off for being with them for 3 or 4 days. So all this comes up conveniently just a couple of days before this funeral. So you file this paperwork, it doesn't matter if I say they can go or not. And now you're going to take it to the extreme to try to keep me from my children even longer. And that's not okay, Your Honor.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Okay. So yes, my aunt actually did pass away, and she passed away February the 11th before any of this actually transpired. Her funeral, however, was planned for February 25th due to the fact that family members did not know what her cause of death was, and they wanted an autopsy. And so, yes, I did speak with Mr. Holtz via text in reference to the children attending my aunt's funeral, but I don't think that Mr. Holtz realizes that I've had several other family members pass as well. Even on the same day, we buried 2 additional family members. And so I don't bring up a lot of the things that go on in my family because Mr. Holtz is no longer a part of that. He's a part of our children's lives, which I'm a big advocate of, which is why I did agree to our children spending extra time with him, even across my custodial days in the past, up until the point when our daughter said that he twisted her arm. And so I agree to him being in their lives. I've sent him messages and talked to him about statistically proven that children who have their fathers in their lives, they do a lot better in life. And so I'm not the type of co-parent that is going to just use the court system or abuse the court system or a doctor's office to prevent him from spending time with our children. That couldn't be further from the truth. And so, in fact, this TPO was actually suggested to me by the lawyer who handled our divorce prior to Mr. Holtz actually sending me the message to tell me, no, the children can't go. So this paperwork was actually filed before I received that text message. He did, however, tell me before, no, I don't want them to go. And then he sent me the messages after I sent him multiple messages saying, you know, what is the reason behind this? But I understand because Mr. Holtz hasn't had a lot of people die in his family, but that's beside the point. But in reference to him being violent in the past, I received a 12-month TPO based off the fact that he lied in court. And I had a recording that I still have to date of him admitting to hitting me, assaulting me in conversation with his mother and sister, conversation with his mother in person, and his sister was on the phone. I do have a copy of that TPO as well.
Excuse me.
Where was that TPO?
That TPO was coming out of Clayton County.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yeah, hold on 1 second, Mr. Holtz. Ms. Freed, did you get that email by any chance?
Okay, Your Honor.
Oh, hold up. Was it in the chat? Hold on, let's see.
Oh, it's in the chat. Yeah, I do have that. Do you need me to share the screen?
See if I can answer it. Well, okay, I'm in here. Okay, now I got it open.
And may I also respond to his mention of issues with the state concerning.
Tell me why he only sees the child for 10 hours.
Okay,
But
so.
that makes sense.
Okay, so we have a tiered parent, we had a tiered parenting plan coming out of the TPO going into our divorce proceedings. He had supervised visitation, and his mother was the original supervisor. And once he exited out of that phase, he went into unsupervised visitation, and we agreed to the time being extended on the next phase. He received additional hours for him to spend more time with the children. But this is what we agreed to during mediation. And so because Mr. Holtz lives in a hotel, it was agreed that until he moves into a place of his own, that they would not be able to get overnight stays. If that answers your question.
Your Honor, if I may.
Mhm.
Ms. Crawford just said that I sent her a text message saying that the children could not go to the funeral with her. On Thursday evening, I texted Ms. Crawford and told her that they could go with her. But by then, I had already been contacted by the state, Ms. Gabrielle Prince, in reference to these allegations here. Now, like I said, Ms. Crawford has a history of filing false documentations against me. And she did this in Clayton County, like she just said under oath, that I was hitting her and beating her. None of that's in those alleged allegations in Clayton County. The only thing that Ms. Crawford put on the document in Clayton County that was true, Your Honor, were the names. Everything else was fantasy. And Judge West, he said, we're going to figure out what's going on here, because I was concussed. I had a concussion when I went to court. And he said, we're going to figure out what's going on here, Mr. Holtz. I'm going to order you to 12 months. The TPO, I'm going to grant that for Ms. Crawford, and I'm going to order you to the family violence classes. And I thank Judge West for that, because in those classes, I found out that I was a victim of spousal abuse with everything that I was going through with Ms. Crawford. And you know, with her using the state and this paperwork to keep me away from my children, I have PTSD, major depressive disorder, and crippling anxiety, Your Honor, which is all documented dealing with Ms. Crawford here and her keeping my children from me. When she first did this, my son was 6 weeks old. I didn't see my son again. He was 6 weeks from turning 2 years old, Your Honor. He's 4 now. And I built the relationship with my son, and I've tried to repair a relationship that she tried to destroy with our daughter. And our daughter, she's very smart and very impressionable. And I don't like how Ms. Crawford is using our children as pawns. It's not right, Your Honor. Now, all this time I've been seeing my children unsupervised. Never had a complaint of any violence or anything, because I don't do that. I wouldn't put myself in this situation again. There's no way I'd put myself in this situation again, Your Honor. I love my children too much. And all I do is ask for more time.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. So, but somebody put a TPO in place in Clayton County.
That was Miss Crawford. That was
The judge that put it in place in Clayton County.
correct. He said, we're going to figure out what's going on here. And I did everything the judge asked. I went to those classes, and I kept my distance. And Your Honor, on everything I love, about a week or so before the order was to expire, Ms. Crawford filed paperwork again claiming that I violated it. But this is the thing. She claimed I violated it back in August. That's 6 months. If I violated that order, you would have filed that paperwork in August, not in December or January when that order is about to run out.
May I respond, Your Honor?
I'm not finished.
Let him go ahead and finish.
Yeah, and I went through all that, and I never put myself in a situation to do it again. Which we went back to court, and I'm facing 10 years in the penitentiary, Your Honor. The only thing that was found was that Ms. Crawford was stalking my social media for that entire year. she came up there with a stack of papers on me on my social media, making up stories of me claiming to do stuff to her and everything. And I'm just posting general posts. And Your Honor, I swear, Judge West, she said on August 19th or 13th of 19 that I was stalking her and my children. I had a picture of a prescription. I was in the ER, Your Honor, in my 5th car accident. And Judge West, he said, all charges are dropped. Y'all take this shit to Fulton County. Excuse my language, Your Honor. And that's how he closed it. Because that was 2 years Miss Crawford found false paperwork against me, keeping me from my children.
And I got somebody that's about to jump on. Let's see, for her. I got Miss Heron about to jump on, Miss Free. Let's see. Because one, I care about both of y'all, but I don't know whether people believe it or not. Biggest thing I care about are these children.
Yes, ma'am.
And I saw this, and one personally who's had a spiral fracture. I don't see anything in this medical record about a spiral fracture.
Oh, let me
Nope,
tell you.
I'm smarter than I sound, just a wee bit. My wife may think different, but I'm smarter than I sound, right? Because I'm reading this. We got a JD, not an MD, but you know, my wife's Asian, so we got a whole bunch of MDs in the family, right? 8-year-old female, emergency, left elbow, concern for abuse, and it says deep. Well, and here it comes to save the day, right here.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Not yet. Got Miss Heron up in here. Miss Heron to save the day.
Yes, Your Honor.
Down and dirty. Miss Heron, you know all I care about in this world are these children.
That's what you care about. I know.
I don't know if you've been watching, Miss Heron.
I was, and
Okay, so did you hear some of this?
I did hear some of it.
All right, so down and dirty. So Miss Heron's gonna take a little bit of money from somebody. So who's gonna pay? She's gonna make it down and dirty, but she's gonna get to the bottom of this. She's what I call a guardian ad litem. So she's gonna be, hey, Miss Reed, can you send that medical report to Miss Heron?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Heron, I'll send it to you via email now.
Okay, that sounds good.
And I just sent you all the pleadings.
Okay.
So, but I'm making this down and dirty. That means Miss Heron's gonna look at these medical records. She's gonna look at whatever y'all got her. And y'all I'm gonna put y'all in I'm gonna make Miss Heron a co-host also right now so that she can put everybody in let me make some breakout rooms here. Breakout rooms and talk to y'all. But what y'all gotta do is Miss Heron acts as an investigative arm of the court. So if Miss Heron says do it, y'all do it. If Miss Heron says y'all go out there and stand in your head in the middle of the Peachtree, she's not doing it for sheer entertainment. She's doing it because there's a reason. And that's what she wants y'all to do. But she wants to know what's going on with these kids, because for some reason, Dad hadn't been able to see his kid for 10 hours, and there's kids, and there's previous history in Clayton County, and I want Miss Heron to get to the end of it. She's fantastic.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. But the two of y'all, somebody gonna pay her some money. Now she's not gonna milk y'all, but somebody gonna pay her some money. Because it's like a car. A car don't run if it ain't got gas, and Miss Heron don't work if it ain't got money. And I ain't asking her to work for free, but I'm making it down and dirty so she can do this. Miss Heron, you're a co-host. If you want to put Miss Crawford, if you want to do them independently and find out a little bit, or put them in there and get their information and figure out what they're going to do, you do it. And then when you come back, Miss Heron, you can tell me a date, because I know it won't take you long, but a date that you can find out what's going on. Because let me tell you something, Miss Crawford and Mr. Holtz, Miss Heron will tell you that if I find out that somebody's doing this as a lie, give your heart and soul to Jesus, because your rear end's mine.
Yes, Your Honor.
And if I find out that you're doing something wrong, give your heart and soul in Jesus, because your rear end is mine too.
Yes, Your Honor.
We're messing with the lives of these children, and that's what matters. And Miss Heron will find out the truth. All right. So she's gonna. I don't know if you want to put them in separate breakout rooms, Miss Heron.
Separate. I'll start with Miss Crawford first.
All right. So Mr. Holtz, you can put Mr. Holtz in another breakout room. Mr.
Okay.
Holtz Ms. Herring will bop in there and talk to you. And she's gonna tell y'all what this is gonna cost. It's not gonna be that much, but y'all gonna pay it, and it's worth it for every minute of this child. And then Ms. Herring, pop back in here, tell us how long that you need before you can tell us what to do, okay?
Okay, and Mr. Holtz, I'm putting you in breakout room 2, and Ms. Crawford, you breakout room 1.
Yes, sir.
I'm outside against the bear.
You know what?
Trying to catch some air, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Herring.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Chloe Edwards.
Here.
Cassandra Stamper.
Here.
All right, Ms. Edwards, you still want to go forward?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Who is this Ansley School? Who are you, ma'am? You're in the middle. Who are you?
I'm a scholar.
You're a scholar. I got you. So why are you here?
I don't know.
How did you get this Zoom link?
The social workers put me on here.
What social worker, by pray tell, gave you this link? Give me that social worker's name.
Hello.
So why is this child on this Zoom link?
So I was called and told that Ms. Herring needed to speak to Danielle, and so that's what I was told to do.
Okay, all right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you in a breakout room. Let's see. I'm going to put you in breakout room number 3. That way, I was about to let her take over and just run this place because I think she's pretty smart. All right, so you're in breakout room number 3. Miss Reed, can you message Miss Herring and let her know that that she is in breakout room 3? Thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
Miss Herring, so I just told them, do you think they know how to leave?
I hadn't told them to leave yet. They do have where I did get some feedback. I gave them some feedback. Let's see.
See, she's coming too.
Okay.
Well, I told her to.
I'll just move her to the main session.
There you go. There she is. All right.
Okay, I had a chance to speak with the minor child, and I had a chance to speak with both parties about concerns that both parties have. I think in the meantime, until we come back, until I'm able to do a further investigation, it's my understanding that the child is in counseling with the school. And so she's just starting that. So I need to get some feedback from the counselor. But in the meantime, I do believe that there should be some kind of supervised visitation. I don't think it needs to be the maternal grandmother at this time. I think with the supervised visitation that both parties should share in the cost of it. Both parties are fine with doing Nia. Well, I will say mom is fine with doing Nia's place in the meantime. Dad is just not fine with any kind of supervised visitation in the meantime. But after just kind of talking to the child and some other things, I think there needs to be supervised in the meantime. I think dad has told me about some issues that he's having. Those issues, I will say, do concern me. I know dad has tried to get on disability for some PTSD and some other things, but I think the PTSD is more severe than what we kind of hear about on a regular basis. Dad, in the meantime, is in an extended stay, and he has very limited time, so I don't want to take away the time that he has. But in the meantime, if I have some concerns with children involved, I don't want to put the children in any kind of harm's way either. So I think in the meantime, if they did supervise visitation at Nia's place, And mom is going to pay half of that. If dad is willing to pay half of that, that should be fine. But also, if the parties are not interested in doing Nia's place, I don't think there would be an issue with the parties agreeing if they're going to do some kind of public place. I did give dad an opportunity to tell me where that would be. I said, hey, what about if there's a skating rink and mom was required to stay away, or Top Golf or something like that? I think his concern is that he cannot afford that. But I think I would leave that up to Nia's place would be the default, and I would leave it up to the parties and really to dad, I would say, if he could afford to have it be at a more fun place.
All right, and who's going to pay for your fees, Ms. Herring? Because I'm not asking you to work for free.
I think that both of them should pay half. There's a history. There's quite a history. So I think I don't know if they've had a guardian ad litem before, if anybody has really looked into things, but there's a history of TPOs against dad. There's a history, of course, in their divorce, dad has very, very, very limited visitation. And I think that's because the judge heard certain things that that was really concerning. So again, nothing against dad, but I think we really take what's being said kind of seriously. And I get dad's position that he doesn't want to be away from the children, but again, there's some concerns.
Right. And that's why I called you. So if you want to see me in order now, both of y'all are going to have to come up with the money to pay Ms. Herring. She's not going to nickel and dime y'all to death, but she's an extension of this court. So if she says do it, do it. Nia's place, that's fine. Something's going to be worked out. If you can't afford Nia's place, it's going to be somewhere in public where mom can be there.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
care about everybody on this screen negative, but I care about that child the most. That's why Ms. Herring's here, because she's representing the best interest of that child. That child is what matters the most to me, period. I'm not trying to keep a child from either parent. Ms. Herring knows that, but I'm gonna make sure if this child sees both parents, that child is gonna be safe. So that's what we're gonna have to do. So credit card, whatever you gotta do to get Ms. Herring paid, y'all are gonna control how much it costs her. I told her down and dirty. She spoke with that, and your daughter came in here in Pleasant, cute little girl. I was almost gonna let her run the place. She looked all in control with her headphones on. So that's what matters to me. And I don't know if PTSD, is it from military, Ms. Herring? Is that what he's saying?
I didn't get all of that as far as the details of where it came from, but there were some other concerns that he had.
Is it military, Mr. Holtz? Were you in the military?
Your
Yes.
Honor,
Yes or no? Were you in the military?
I was not in the military.
Okay, step by. I don't want to hear nothing else. I just want to know. All right. So everybody, y'all gonna have to fix these questions. I'm putting you back on mute because you're gonna interrupt me. Y'all are gonna have to fix this. This is what's best for this kid. It bothers me that there's only 10 hours. I don't know why. I'm not second guessing this judge in Clayton County, not second guessing anything. But Ms. Herring is the eyes and the ears and the investigative arm here. And when she tells you to do, you're gonna do it. Ms. Herring, tell me how long you need. You need 30 days? Do you think you need 60 days?
I would say 60 days, 60 days. And then also, I just want to be clear that neither party needs to be talking to this child about this case. I gather that there's been talk about this, about not just this case, but just the history of cases. And I gathered that there's been talk where the child is overhearing. So when they're talking to investigators and things of that nature, that child is hearing quite a bit. Because some of the things that I heard from her, I don't think that was just her, but the gist of what I did hear that concerned me, I believe was her.
Right. So we don't talk about, kids are in the house. Y'all all know, y'all were little too. When your mom and daddy used to have a talk, you'd run up and be like, want to hear what's going on. Don't talk about it when the kid's around. This child should know nothing about anything except for being a kid. That's it. That's all I want this child to know about is being a kid. I might not be able to save the world, but hopefully I can save these kids one little thing at a time with what little I got. And Ms. Herring's going to help me on this one. Sir, I want you to get it together. If you got, I'm not trying to keep your child away from you, but I want you to be the healthiest parent that you can be to be around your child. That's all. I don't want you to say anything. I want you to be the healthiest parent that you can be. You're shaking your head like I'm not listening. Here's the thing. I don't need to hear anything else because Ms. Herring needs to do her investigation before I hear anything else. Because if either one of y'all say anything, it's not gonna change my mind until I find out what's going on. And that's Ms. Harris' job. Now, she's gonna send me an order. And she's gonna send an order and y'all gonna have to pay her. And if y'all, you have to use a credit card, if she charges a 2 or 3% fee, she adds that on. So, because I'm not asking her to eat fees. She's going to do this as quickly as possible, 60 days. What's a good day for you, Ms. Heron? What's a good day, Ms. Free?
Let's see.
And I put out I've already sent you all the pleadings, and I don't know, it looks like on there may be defects. If you need a release, send me an order for a release for defects records and I'll sign it for you. And have them send it to me here at 136. So it'll.
Okay.
At the 136.
Runner, our entire May calendar is free. So
Okay.
Attorney Heron, we can fit around your Friday schedule.
Okay, that sounds good. I will say,
Or if you think of it, it could be on a Monday if you need one. I mean, just what, you know.
I think May 12th, if you have May 12th available.
We're free all day. Do you want to set it for the 9:30 or the 2 o'clock?
The 9:30 will work.
Mr. Holtz, Mr. Crawford, Ms. Crawford, if y'all put your emails in the chat, and I know Ms. Heron, we probably have yours. If you'll put it in there, we'll send you the reset notice. Ms. Heron, you can send your guardian note, your guardian order. I'll sign it, and we'll do a continuation. So if you want to put like an exhibit on their parenting and how they're going to do it, we'll do that as an exhibit to the reset notice. So Nia's Place, I think, is it $50?
I'll have to check back on it to see what they're charging.
But Mr. Holtz, the chance you have here, and I don't want you to misinterpret this, and I'm trying to keep your child away from you, Mr. Holtz. For some reason, you have 10 hours a month. Don't know why. Doesn't matter. Clean slate. Ms. Heron's doing an investigation. But right now, until we figure it out, somebody's going to be there. Either Ms. Crawford. I like Nia's Place. Nia's Place can do a report, and then this way, if you think Ms. Crawford's going to make something up, she can't, because it's neutral people. And there's another one that's Our Families First, whatever families. What is that one called?
I think it is Families First, but I'll check to see, because sometimes they have limited availability.
Right, they have limited availability. They're a little more expensive, but it's not as, I like to say, I guess, institutional, because you can be out in the park and somebody can supervise. But, you know, so here it's going to go. And like I said, if somebody's lying to me, help you. Because it's about this child. Y'all got it? Yes, Mr. Holtz. And this better not be anything about this case. This better be something about Miss Heron and how you get in touch with her.
What I was trying to explain to Miss Heron is my funds are extremely limited. So if we can please circumvent trying to go somewhere where I have to pay, I'm fine with just doing
then you can talk to Miss Heron about that, but don't waste the court time.
That's what I'm saying. I don't have the money to do that. I'm trying to scrape up some child support. So what I'm saying is, as long as I can have communication with my son and my daughter via this, like how we've been doing video chats.
So that's all. So you don't want to see him in person. You just want to talk to him.
It's not that I don't want to see him in person, Your Honor. It's not that at all. I don't have the funds to do that at the moment.
Stop. So what we'll do is, if they want to have Zoom meetings, Miss Heron, both parties can record it.
Okay. I think for Mr. Holtz, I mean, if you're trying to get back to where the children are feeling safe, I don't think just Zoom is going to do it. But if I understand, that's why I gave the option. I said Nia's Place, or if they can meet somewhere and mom be in the background, nowhere near the children.
I don't know what a Nia's Place is. I don't have funds to go anywhere extra and do things. I do things with my children. We have
Mr. Holtz, did you have a job?
I work part-time with accommodations at Amazon, Your Honor. I'm disabled. I'm losing limb functioning.
Okay. Are you getting disability?
No, Your Honor, they just denied me for the second time. The first time I applied, they denied me pending diagnosis. The
Did you
second
get?
time I applied,
Listen, did you get a lawyer to do an appeal?
on the second one I did, and they denied me again. They didn't give a clear reason. I have all kind of diagnosis for it.
Stop. I just sent you a message in the chat. I just sent you a guy's name by the name of Isaac Cook and a phone number. Text him. Text him. Tell him I told you to call. Tell him you have limitations and he can help you find something with limitations. Isaac Cook, it's in the chat. I sent it directly to you with his number. He does that for all kinds of guys and girls if they need help.
Well, I appreciate some kind of assistance because I haven't had any luck with the state of Georgia the last 4 years, Your Honor. So
But let him know that I told you to call and tell him whatever limitations you have. All right, but this is all about your kids. So just tell him the limitations, tell him what you got and he'll help you. But somehow Ms. Herring gonna get paid. Like I said, she's not gonna take every penny you got. She's gonna make it down and dirty, but she's one of the best ones I got. She's gonna take care of it. We're gonna both see y'all on May the 12th and cooperate with her and give her your emails if you have it so that she can get this done and come back and on May the 12th, it'll be done and over with and we'll resolve this whole situation.
now back to the Zoom thing, Ms. Herring, I'm not trying to be
You
away.
can talk to Ms. Herring about this and not me. That's why you got Ms. Herring's thing. You got Zoom. If y'all if you have meetings with the children on Zoom, you can record it, okay? This is when you talk to Ms. Herring and not the court, okay? I got a lot of people in the waiting room. Ms. Herring, you're outstanding. Thank you for jumping on.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Free, I'm sorry, did you get my message? I asked for 2 p.m. I changed to 2 p.m. just in case I have a conflict that
Oh,
morning.
thank you. I'll go ahead and change that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Holtz and Ms. Crawford, if you could just in the chat before you go, send me your email addresses and I'll send you something now.
Y'all place it in the chat. We'll stand down until 12:30 until we got the rest of it here. Thank you, Ms. Herring.
Thank you.
And I'll sign that order when you get it to me. And I sent you the pleadings. If there's anything else you need, let me know. If you need that defects release, send it to me. And do put the 136 Prior Street so they'll send it to me at this address.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.